Hey everybody, today I am answering questions from my subscribers. So thank you for everybody that turned in a question for me this past week. I really appreciate it. We got about 10 to 12 questions. So kudos to everybody out there that sent me a question. Really appreciate it. And I'm just going to go through each one and just kind of answer them on the fly. I really haven't looked through the questions. So it'll just be an impromptu question and answer session. So the first one I get says, we could all use some inside info on ASTI update. So thank you, RJ, for sending that in. So ASTI is Ascent Solar Technologies. If you're new to me, following my channel, it's a company I used to work for. I worked for them for about 5 to 6 years. It's been a while since I've worked there. Still know some people that work there. They're in the renewable energy field. They design and manufacture solar panels. This is a penny stock company. I mean, they were, boy, I don't know, they were like 1/100th of a cent back in November, and they shot up to around, I think, 7 or 8 cents, something like that in February. And so there's a lot of people that were interested in Ascent Solar. And unfortunately, we've seen a huge pullback. I mean, it's getting close to 1 cent again now. And I do, do any kind of news or updates on the company as they come out. And unfortunately, there really has not been any information. I'm pretty disappointed with the company not having anything come out. I mean, we'll have, their, I guess, 10Q for the second quarter probably out in the next week or two would be, my guess. But really, there's nothing that's really going on with the company. Unfortunately, they were supposed to do some kind of demonstration in May with NASA, but I haven't seen anything that's come out from the company. So once I see something, I'll certainly put it out there for you guys. But at this time, there really isn't anything, unfortunately. All right, so next question is, when do you sell a stock? So thank you, Menon. Appreciate it for sending that one in. So there's a couple of reasons why I would sell a stock. The number one reason I sell a stock is if it hits intrinsic value. So when I buy a company, majority of the time I have a really good exit strategy. So if I'm buying a company, best case scenario, let's say Ulta was a good example last year. When I did intrinsic value on Ulta, I got about $330 on the company. And at the time, it was trading around 170, 180. And so I bought in, and then I held it for, I don't know, it was probably 9 or 10 months. Once it hit $330, I sold. So typically, most of the time the stock goes about, 5 to 10% above the intrinsic value. I'll sell. There was another opportunity that I went for. That's why I kind of sold right at the intrinsic value. So that's the number one reason I will sell, is once it hits its intrinsic value, because it's really not going to push up more from that, or I'm just not going to get that good of returns overall. So the second reason I would sell a stock would be if management changed, or management didn't have the same thought process as me, or if I don't think that management has the shareholder in mind, that will change my opinion about the company, and I could sell from that. And that was so that would be a second reason for that. A third reason might be maybe financially the company is not doing as well as what I thought it would be doing. There are times when I do like turnaround plays. Boeing is one of those companies. I bought in a year ago. My cost basis is well under $200 a share. I really thought by now it would be at $300 plus, but they just keep having issues after issues after issues. I have not sold out of that one. I still have that one, but that it would be a case where, if it continues to happen and, they keep, maybe they're, by next year, if they still haven't figured things out, maybe their guidance is lowered and bad things keep happening over and over. There might be a point where I say, okay, this stock just has not done what I thought it was going to do, and just time to bail out at this time. So really fundamentally, if the company is not doing as well as I thought it would be doing. That'd be a third reason. And then the fourth reason would be if a stock that I've been watching for a while, and of course Corsair Gaming would be one of those companies here recently, where it was on my watch list for several months, and my buy target price for that company was under $30 a share. And so I'm always, evaluating the companies that I own. And if it comes to where all of a sudden another company I'm watching drops below my buy price, I look at my other stocks, and if there is a stock that I feel that I'm just not going to get as great of a return on that one compared to another stock, I may sell out of that other stock and then buy that new stock. So that can happen as well too. So there's four main reasons why I would sell a stock, but the main one is if it hits its intrinsic value. All right. Next question is, I would like to hear your thoughts on growth versus value. For example, LFVN, which is Life Vantage Corp, which I've talked about a few times on my channel, which is an undervalued stock with low growth compared to Alibaba or AVTBF, which are potential multi-baggers. So let's start with that because he's got a couple questions in there. So growth versus value. For me, I have growth and I have value in my portfolio. And in a lot of cases, I feel that you can actually, a stock can be both. And for example, Dropbox, which is my second largest position on my portfolio, when I bought into it, I thought it was incredibly undervalued. But I mean, the growth is supposed to be 15 to 20% per year going out in the future. This is a company that did just under $400 billion of cash flow last year. It's supposed to do $1 billion in 2024. So even though it's a growth company, I still feel like I got good value out of it. Even Warren Buffett, has been asked in the past, are you a value investor? And he said, I'm not really a value investor, which people kind of label him. I think there's growth that can come with value. Alibaba is one of those too. Yeah, I mean, it's been growing. Even from a cash flow standpoint, it's been growing well over 20% per year over the last 3 years. And even revenue this past quarter was up over 60%. So that's certainly a growth company, but there's still value there. So for me, I think they kind of go hand in hand. I think there's a blend of that. Now, Life Vantage Corp is a company that strictly is a value play for me. And so when I did the intrinsic value, I think on the very low end, it's worth about between $10 and $11 a share. High end, it's worth 18 to 20. So kind of midpoint would be around 15. My price point on that is under $7. In fact, it was up 15% this past week. So I definitely have a mixture of both in my portfolio, but I think best case scenario is finding a company that's undervalued but is a growth company as well. And then he goes on and asks, also, any lessons you have learned from your time in the stock market, aka getting out of stock too soon or too late? So I still think the biggest mistake for new investors and the biggest mistake for me is getting out of stocks too soon. I feel very good that I have a really good understanding, a good strategy, philosophy on buying stocks, when to buy them, how to value them, how to find a margin of safety in buying those stocks. But there's been numerous times when I've sold the stock way too soon. Way too soon. Apple's one of those stocks where I bought, it went up 50%, I ended up selling, and of course it went up like threefold or something like that after I sold. So that's my biggest mistake personally. So I really do think it's absolutely critical to understand how to value a stock and finding the intrinsic value, buying at a margin of safety, and knowing what that stock is worth. I honestly think that 90% of the people out there don't understand this concept or don't know how to do it. And this channel is all about that. So definitely, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel and watch my videos. I try to teach the best I can. But certainly understanding the value of a company and buying in and selling when it gets to intrinsic value is so important. All right, and lastly, additionally, I think it would be neat if you did a collaboration with the Popular Investor. So Rob from the Popular Investor, I'm a huge fan of his. I'm subscribed to his channel. I learn every time I watch one of his videos. I think he is really phenomenal. He's one of the few channels on YouTube that I trust that person. When he says there's a stock he's buying into, it's a good stock, and he goes through the understanding of why he likes a certain stock, which I appreciate. And so I would love to do a collaboration with him. Obviously, his channel's growing a lot, but I'd definitely be up for that in the future. All right, so thanks, Patrick. Next one is, at what price would you consider buying PDD? And that's Pinduoduo, which is a Chinese stock. I've talked about that that stock a couple times on this channel. I actually did buy that stock about 2 weeks ago. I think my cost basis is around $105 a share. Chinese stock, especially Pinduoduo, has been really hit hard. I think this last week alone, I think it dropped, I don't know, like 7, 8, almost 10%, something like that. But I do think there's a lot of growth to the company. It's a very small position in my portfolio. It's about 1%. I would never make it more than a 2% in my portfolio because Alibaba is 25% of my portfolio, and I don't want to get too heavy into the Chinese market, even though I do think, JD.com, Alibaba, Pinduoduo are all at really good, attractive levels right now. I just don't want to be too heavy into the Chinese market. So for me, I don't want to be more than 30% at this time. But I am an owner of them, love them. If they gets down to 90, I will buy more. All right. So thank you from Investing Made Easy. Appreciate that question. All right. Next one is, what's your market outlook for the rest of the year? And this is just my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. This is free information for you guys. So sometimes it's advice is as good as what you pay for it. So take it as a grain of salt. But I really think the market's going to do well till the end of the year. And here's why. So I think, there's money still being pumped into the market. Just last week, I got a check from the government for the advanced tax child credit. So there's a lot of Americans, millions of Americans that are getting these checks starting in July, going through December. So be very careful. These are not stimulus checks. These are advanced tax child credit. So just be aware of that. And so, money is still going to be given to Americans through the end of the year. So I think people are going to spend the money. I think the majority of people are. If they don't spend it, they're going to invest the money. So I really do think money is going to continue to be pumped into this economy. And I think it's going to do well to the end of the year. On the flip side of that, I think it's going to increase inflation. We've already seen that. We're seeing that from companies coming out and talking about it. We certainly saw it from Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting recently, and it's all over the place. I mean, I think it's kind of funny. I was watching a Phil Town video, and he said that the government bases inflation on different categories, but they don't include, for example, gas. Well, gas has gone up like, I don't know, 3-fold, 4-fold, something like that in the last year, whatever it is. So I think inflation is going to increase. So I think till the end of this year, I think the stock market's going to do pretty well. But I do think inflation is going to catch up at some point. Interest rates are going to start going up. Fed's going to be forced to do that. And then once that starts happening, we're going to see some earnings and guidance starting to go down, which is going to affect the stock market. When that's going to happen, I don't know. But I certainly think till the end of this year, it's going to do fairly well. All right. So thank you, Bryce. Appreciate that question. Next one comes from my Hister. And this one is, when you calculate your potential returns based on discounted free cash flow, do you ignore the dividends? If yes, is that because they are paid from free cash flow? So great question. So when I do my analysis, when I try to find the intrinsic value of a company and margin of safety, I do not include the dividend at all. The reason why I don't do that is because dividends are not guaranteed. I mean, I own 2 companies that cut their dividends, and Boeing and Tupperware. So you can't. When you buy a stock, at least from my point of view, I don't look at a dividend and say, okay, this is guaranteed, I'm going to add it into my calculation. I know some people do, and I know maybe some companies like Coca-Cola has paid it for 40, 50 years or whatever it is. But even still, I don't count that. It's just kind of a plus on there. Now, I will say it's not that I completely ignore it. I do see and look at that, but it's not part of my calculation on trying to figure out the margin of safety. Next question from my History says, and does the same apply for the margin of safety calculation, considering that you use EPS there and not free cash flow? So yeah, same answer there. I don't look at dividends at all because they're not guaranteed. So thank you for the questions. Really appreciate it. All right. So the next one is, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the current situation with Avant Brands, formerly G-Tech Holdings, their Q2 report, and the change over to the OTCQX market. Where do you think they're headed, and why do you think the Q2 results caused such a dip in the stock price? So I actually did a video recently on Avant Brands. It is a company that I think is going to do pretty well in the long term. It is a very small company, right around $100 million market cap. They're in the flour industry, if you get what I'm saying. I don't want to be demonetized by YouTube. And the Q2 numbers just, were not as good, I think, as what people were hoping for. There were some one-time events that occurred in there, and so they had a loss. And if they compared it from the previous year, it doesn't look very good for them. Like, I think they had income from operations from a year ago, and then they actually had a loss this quarter. But a lot of it had to do with some one-time adjustments. I think, and the reason why I like this company so much is the CEO, Norton Singhaven. I think he's an innovator. I think there's a lot on his shoulders. I think he cares about the shareholder. He has come out and said that not only is he heavily invested money-wise in the company, he has family members too. And the reason why I like him so much is that he's not that rah-rah type of guy. There's so many companies out there, especially smaller companies, that just post every day, like what they're doing and all these things. And I feel like it's just it kind of clouds investors of what's kind of going on. I think GTech Holdings or Avant Brands, they're only announcing stuff when they have to, and even when they do announce it, they just kind of stay low. Norton Singhaven seems like a guy that just puts his head down and just works. So I think they're really going in the right direction. It's just gonna, I think, take a while for the market to see them. No one's really following the company, really not at all. So I like the company a lot. I also do like that they changed their name, GTech Holdings. There's so many people that were going to Yahoo Finance or going to buy the company and typing in GTech, and it was getting another company with the ticker symbol GTech, and they were buying the wrong company. So I'm glad they changed their name. And then going to the OTCQX market is also a good thing. And not all companies can go to that market. There's certain financial requirements they have to get there. So overall, I think it was really positive, like the company overall. All right, so thanks, Brian. Next question is from Deuterino. He asks, thoughts on market in general and what are your plans for nearest half year? So like I said, I think the stock market is going to do really well to the end of the year. I had somebody ask me a question last round, and they asked it after I did my question and answer session, and they asked me, how much money do I have in cash, right? And I will base what I think the market is doing, how much cash I'm holding. And if it means anything to you guys, only 5% of my portfolio right now is in cash. And the stuff that is in cash is actually being used up with stock options. So in theory, actually, all of it's being kind of used up. Like I said, I think the market's going to do really well till the end of the year, and we'll kind of see what happens after that. So I'm very heavily invested in the market. I have very little cash on the side. All right, so thanks, Deuterino. Appreciate the question. Next one is from Eel. He asks, I'd like to know more about your saltwater aquarium. All right, well, thanks, Eel. If you guys have watched most of my videos, usually the beginning of the video, end of the video, I'll actually have a video of my saltwater fish tank, and that is my saltwater fish tank. It's a 30-gallon BioCube, so it's pretty small. I have corals in there. I've had it for 9 or 10 years now. I have a clownfish in there. I have a royal gromma in there, the species of fish. I love saltwater fish tanks. I've always been fascinated about the ocean. I've never gone snorkeling myself, but I just find it so peaceful, so interesting, especially with saltwater fish tanks and having coral. It just constantly changes. It's really fascinating. They're living organisms. They grow, but I love it. I really, really love it, and it's just a way for me to relax, kind of get away from the world sometimes, and I just enjoy taking care of it. So thank you for the question, Neil. Appreciate it. All right, a couple more questions here. Hi, I would like to hear how we can timely track official news about companies. By saying official news, I mean projects the companies are about to start, agreements, mergers, etc. Is there a central official website, maybe covering all the stock companies, application, etc., or should we track the websites of each of the companies we are interested in? Wow, good question. Maybe someone can answer in the comment section if they know of a specific website that tracks all the news in one place. I mean, obviously there's CNBC or Yahoo Finance. You can go to those main ones and kind of see. But if you're trying to cover specific stocks, I don't know a better answer than actually going to the company's website, or trying to follow the news on, say, Yahoo Finance, for example, and going to that ticker symbol and kind of seeing what's happened. Some companies, you can actually sign up for a newsletter. So Avant Brands is one of those that I'm subscribed to. And I went to their website, Investor Relations, and you can put your or give them your email address. And every time they have any kind of news, they'll email you, which is phenomenal. So I know when the financials come out or any kind of updates from the company, which is phenomenal. So you could do that too. You go to the websites and see if they have anything there. But unfortunately, I don't have a great answer for you. Maybe someone can drop it in the comment section. So thank you, Metin. Appreciate the question there. All right. So last question we have is from Ike. He asks, I would like to hear your thoughts on AABB and other OTC stocks like IQST. I gotta tell you, I don't know those companies. I don't recognize them. AABB. I want to say that might be a Chinese company. I want to say somebody asked me to look into it previously, so I recognize that ticker symbol. IQST. Not even sure what that is. In general, I don't follow penny stocks. The two penny stocks I do talk about on my channel, one is Ascent Solar, ASTI, which I talked about before in this video. I used to work there, so I feel I have a strong connection there, and I still know people that are there. I want them to do well. And then the other one is Avant Brands. Other than that, I really don't follow penny stocks, just for the simple reason that penny stocks are extremely risky. I know there's a lot of interest in penny stocks, especially over the last year. And I mean, obviously there's that amazing feeling or hope that you can buy into a stock at 1 or 2 cents, and then it goes up 1,000%, 2,000%, and make a ton of money, and then you're set for ever, right? I don't know if you guys follow the Dogecoin millionaire. I actually just subscribed to him. I think the guy's really hilarious, but that's a situation where this gentleman bought in, I think around, was it 3.5 cents or something like that, and he won't sell until it hits $1, or no, I think it's like $2.50. He wants to become I don't know, is it a decamillionaire, $10 million before he'll sell that. And they're just so risky. Way more risk than I think reward that comes from those type of stocks. You really have to understand the business. You really have to understand the CEO. And that why I like Avant Brands so much is that I trust the CEO. So if you've done your research, if you've looked at their financials, you're hopefully listening to their earnings calls, you're reading their 10Qs, their 10Ks, you're doing research on the CEO, and you feel really comfortable where they're going, just know that it's still extremely risky. There are reasons why they're penny stocks. Either they don't have enough cash on hand. Very rare do you find a Tesla-like company that is trading at a very low value and trying to pick that company and grow. I would say 1 out of, 500 companies actually make it when they're that small. So I typically don't talk about penny stocks on this channel just because they're just too risky, and I just don't want to get people the wrong idea to buy in when I don't do the same. From my standpoint. But thank you for the question. I really appreciate it. Again, thank you everybody that submitted a question. I really appreciate it. I'll probably doing this once a month. So this was July's Q&A. And about a month out, I'll do August. So thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all the support on this channel. Love you guys so much. I'll catch you later. Take care.